Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton with the big fella, big Paul Mokeski, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Mo, it's good to see you, man. We got so carried away in our free show conversation that we got off to a little late start. That's on me. I'll take the fine to our viewers out there. Put that
We
one
should
on.
we should
And,
just put our pre-show on too.
yeah. Hey, and welcome everybody out there, and make sure to check us out on the league. That's BLEAV.com. This show, all our other past shows. We got a great collection of shows for you to check out. And, welcome. Uh, Mo, it's good to see you, man. Always good to talk to you. And we got some good topics to hit tonight. But I want to start in the National Football League, being that training camp, is opened up. And we talked a little bit last week about the issue going on with the running backs in the NFL. And I mean, you are an NBA player, but you understand what it's like to be a professional athlete, negotiating contracts. As I mentioned last week, NFL player salaries for running backs, Mo, in 2017, the franchise tag was $12 million. This year's $10 million. So they are going backwards. And now Josh Jacobs, out there where you are in Las Vegas, said he is thinking about their reports that he may sit the season out uh, because he's in a contract dispute with the Raiders. And Mo, I understand the situation, but you know, I know you got to do what you think is best, and maybe that's what he thinks is best. But man, Josh is in a bad situation, along with all these other running backs trying to get paid.
Well, a couple things that, and I've paid attention to it a little bit here. Um, it's from a guy from a different sport. When I look at NFL or football, quarterback's number one for sure. Then you're looking at the next guy on offense that really touches the ball the most is the running back because they run with it, they catch it, they also block. So they have a lot going on and they do a lot. However, I also heard today that running backs, because of their position, it's simpler than a quarterback, maybe even simpler than an offensive lineman. That NFL owners and general managers now believe that young running backs that come up through college, rookies or second-year guys, can run just as good as these guys and do what they ask them to do. So why pay somebody more money because a younger player could probably do the same? Now, I don't know if I know that for sure or agree with it, but that's part of it. Number two, positions it's interesting. So, before a while back, offensive linemen were getting underpaid. And then they found out that you got to protect your quarterback because if he gets hurt, it's all over. So now, the left guard is number one because of the blind side. And, so they became valuable and they were paid more. Then tight ends, then wide receivers because quarterbacks were throwing more, teams were throwing more. So wide receivers were making more. And even to some point where tight ends were saying, don't list me as a tight end, list me as a wide receiver because I can make more money. Then tight ends became valuable because you look at, some of the best, tight ends with Kittles or Kelsey or guys like that. So they got paid more. But, it's all relative in basketball in the NBA. It's changed a lot. I mean, back when I played, big players got paid way more than guards because they were valuable. And teams had, just look back in the 80s, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Olajuwon, Sampson. Everybody had twin towers. Everybody had two 7-footers all the time. So big guys were paid more. Now guards are paid more. No one wants to be listed as a center. Even if you're 7'2", you want to be listed as a forward for some reason. So, I think it's all relative, and positions come in and out depending on, what the level of play is. But look, I was looking at numbers today because, I don't know the football salary cap like I do basketball, but if you look at the top running backs in the NFL, McCaffrey, Kamara, Cook, Henry, Chubb, Jacobs, who's here in Las Vegas. The top one, McCaffrey makes $16 million a year. Then Kamara makes 15. Cook makes 13, and then all the other guys make between 10 and 12 million a year. Look at the tight ends. The top paid tight ends. You got Walker in New York that makes 18 million. Then Kittles and Kelsey both make 14 and 15. But then everybody else makes about 12 million. So as a running back and a tight end, and I don't know what receivers make, but you're kind of, in the same boat. So I don't know what the beef is that much, but it seems to me that they're being well paid. And is it as much as you want? No. Is it as much as you think you're worth? No. But like I say all the time, I've said it for years now, Ricky. You're worth what someone will pay you. That's it. You are worth what someone will pay you. Not what you think, not what your family thinks, not what your agent thinks. You're worth what someone will pay you.
Yeah, and you look at these backs. I mean, Jacobs is an excellent back. All the guys you named, these guys are really good running backs. But you don't have. I don't see a Barry Sanders or O.J. Simpson or Jim Brown. There's not the elite. And I just wonder if there was somebody out there like that, would they command more money?
Only if they got the ball. I mean, you got to get the carries, right? And most teams now, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Kansas City, obviously over the last years, it used to be back in the day, your running and passing was about 50-50. Now it's about 80-20. So, even if there was a Barry Sanders out there now, what about Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas? He was that guy, but he hardly gets any runs anymore. So I think it's all
he got cut. They cut him.
Yeah, I mean,
Dalvin Cook in Minnesota ran for 1,000 yards the last 4 seasons. He's looking for a job right now.
Because what I said before, coaches, GMs think, or possibly know, that they can get younger running backs that you pay half as much, and they can do the exact same things.
And they put that money up elsewhere. And Mo, when you think about it, and hey, Steve, what's happening, man? Welcome. We appreciate you, brother, and we appreciate everybody out there tuning in tonight. Please send us your questions and comments, and we will try to get to them for sure. But Paul, is this kind of similar to what we're seeing in the NBA with the big guy now? Although you can't really say that because look at the Joker.
Well,
led his team to a title.
Well, look at the last 5 MVPs. They're all 7-footers. The Joker, Embiid, and Giannis. They're all 7-footers. Right. But, and they're paid, obviously a lot. But I think the gap between those guys and even starting centers everywhere else, there's a big gap there, which is happening in the NBA. I saw this coming 30 years ago with the CBA negotiations, that even back then, the NBA, you could see that, and as a player and in the Player Association, that the gap between the highest paid players and the lowest paid players was widening and also shortening. So players at the top make a ton of money more than the players at the bottom. And who's getting squeezed out is the middleman. So, I mean, if you look at, let's look at Denver's roster, right? They won the championship. So the Joker makes $47 million. Murray makes $33 million. Porter makes $33 million. and Gordon makes $22 million. That's $135 million of your bottom salary cap, which is 136. So that's 4 players. You still got 11 players on the roster. So 10 of those players on the Denver roster make between $4 and $1 million a year. $1 million to $4 million a year. 10 of them. So there's no in between.
Right.
Like you look at the Lakers. LeBron makes 47, AD makes 40, Russell makes 17, Hachimura 15, Reeves 12, and everybody else makes between 2 and 3 million. So what's happening is the elite is getting smaller, the bottom is getting bigger, and the middle people are getting squeezed out. The middlemen are getting squeezed out, and that's why you see, like we talk, like Christian Wood, I think it's valuable piece for anybody, is now looking at taking the veteran minimum, which is mind-boggling to me that he would have to do that, but he might. People are running money. I mean, what's that, my phone? Giving out my stuff?
No, that's some Christian Wood highlights, but I think I clicked on the wrong thing.
But I mean, you know, and what's happening, the veteran minimum means that a 8 or 10 year veteran, it used to be that there was veteran minimums. If you played 5 years in the league, you had a minimum. 10 years in the league, your minimum was, you know, $1 million, whatever, way back in the day. And rookies could come in and make 300. And what happened was, you know, the 11th and 12th guy on teams, instead of a veteran like me, they would pick someone younger that made half as much as me. It actually happened to me in San Antonio. I signed my last year in San Antonio at my 10-year minimum, which I think back then was $450,000. That's not even minimum now. But they kept a big guy who was a second-year guy that was making $180,000, $200,000. So they cut me. So, you know, and if it was equal, if I could have said, hey, wait, I need one more year, you know, I'll play for $200,000.
Yeah.
Then they would have kept me to back up David Robinson. Instead, they kept the younger guy. So that veteran minimum allows veterans to lower their salary and play and take those spots. And like veteran minimum, I know it's basketball 101 salary cap, which I love and talking about. Veteran minimum, for people out there that don't know, if you're a 1 year vet, if you have 1 year in the league, you can play for a team for $1.3 million a year. So that, you know, that's bottom of anybody's roster, and it goes all the way. If you're a 10-year veteran, you can come to $2.3 million a year. You can play for that, which is a lower part of everybody's salary. So if a 10-year guy like me wanted to play, you know, I don't want to, you know, my minimum now is supposed to be $4 million. I don't want to do that. I want you to keep me for $2 million. I can do that. Back in the day, you couldn't do that.
Wow. Yeah. That and that was that negotiated by the Players Association?
Yes, because veterans like me and others after me were getting X'd out of their, you know, I played for 12 years. If I could have done a veteran minimum back then, I probably could have got 13, 14 years in, probably, you know, and played for a couple more years and played for the Spurs, and who knows, maybe won a championship, but I wasn't given that opportunity. And the Players Association saw that happening, said, listen, let's give every team, but every team only has one veteran minimum that they can do. Everybody can't be veteran minimums. So let's give at least one roster spot to a guy that plays 10 years and wants to play one more year, even though it's for less money.
If Wood goes to LA, that's a great pickup for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great pickup for anybody. I think the Warriors should be after him hard. But yeah, because you got LeBron, AD, Russell, I don't like that much. Hachimura, Reeves, Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, and you add Woods to that roster, now you're 8 or 9 deep easy. That's a nice roster, you know?
Yeah, he would definitely bring some offensive punch.
But I saw something that Doc Rivers' son, who's been around for a while and seen a lot.
Austin Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, Austin, and he brought that up that the middle. There is no mid. There's no middle people. There's no middle income people in the NBA anymore. There's the super rich, and then there's the low level. There's no mid level anymore because of that, because of the salary cap, and because the super rich are making 48, 50 million, going to 60 million a year. So there's no room for the middle people anymore.
Yeah, this is Rivers. If you were a free agent, then you could choose where you want to go. That's the business. But when you're not and you sign a deal, man, that's part of the business, bro. If you get traded somewhere, you got to go play, man. You know what I mean? Like this starting with like this started with James Harden and Ben Simmons and all those guys doing this uh, expletive is bad for the league. Then he turned it. Then he added, "This is why our CBA deal that we just signed, and I don't want to get heavy into that. Don't even get me started another expletive on that deal because what we got going because it's top heavy. That's why we're seeing all these teams right now. You either make 50 million or 2 million. It's most lopsided contract teams. It's a joke. I can't tell you how many mid-level guys are signing for the vet minimum around the league. It's a scary dynamic when stars start acting like this. I'm a big fan of it. So he has a point, doesn't he, Mark?
Well, I talked about this last year. I said the collective bargaining agreement's coming up, and I said the owners are not happy because Ben Simmons and Harden's are demanding trades. They're demanding trades, even though they had contracts. They're demanding trades. I mean, Harden, remember, he demanded out of Brooklyn. Then he went to Philly, and he's demanding out of Philly again.
Yeah.
And they're getting it done, and the owners are not happy. So guess what comes around? What goes around comes around, and it comes into collective bargaining, and they can go to the player association and say, listen, your guys are demanding trades, even though they have contracts with us, and we're not happy. So we're going to arrange this so some people are going to get hurt, and that's the mid-level NBA people are getting hurt. That's who's getting hurt. And Austin's right on about that. I mean, look at it. I mean, Embiid's making 47 million, Harris is making 39, Harden's making 35. The next guy is making 11. 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So there is no in between anymore. They got one guy that's not even. Harden is making 35 million, Tucker's making 11. That's 24 million less. I mean, there's no scale anymore. So the owners kind of got started with this, but now the Players Association of players have made it even worse. And Austin's right about that. And guys, Christian Woods or guys like that are getting hurt now. So Christian's gonna have to sign for 1.3 million or whatever, which I know is a lot of money, but not in the basketball NBA world. It's not. Instead of someone like his middle of the road should be 10 million a year. That's what the middle of the end. Guys are making 50. Some guys should make 15, and then there should be guys making 10. But there is none of those guys.
Speaking of Harden, who I distinctly remember when he went to Philly saying, "Man, this is where I always wanted." That's what he said when he went there.
That was about a year ago.
But Steve heard a rumor: Harden to the Suns for Ayton and another player.
That'll never happen. I don't know way. Why would the Suns, who have KD, Booker, and just picked up Beal, would they trade a center, an actual center who's a double-double guy, for Harden, who's on the bottom end of his talents? That makes no sense. I don't see. If the Phoenix Suns do that, then they are they're fools. That would be a huge mistake. Actually, I don't know who would want Harden at this point. I mean, you're going to get him, and then he's going to demand a trade anyway. So, it's kind of like Kyrie. I mean, Kyrie, Yeah, Steve. But
He's never happy.
yeah, he wasn't happy when they were in the NBA Finals. So guess what? Make your 35 million and not be happy and shut up and play. I mean, come on, man. I mean, if you're not happy making $35 million, it's not the team, it's you. It's you. You got a problem. You're a starter on an NBA team that's very good with great players. You're playing with KD, one of the best players ever. I mean, you're not happy? You weren't happy with the other coach. They fired him, and now you're still not happy? Get a life, man.
You had one of the greatest guards in the history of the game that would throw it to you every time you're open, and you're winning.
I mean, that's where owners, it's their fault. Owners and GMs have to, hey, guess what? You're not happy, but deal with it. We're not trading you. Deal with it.
Hey, we're going to talk about your Milwaukee Bucks a little bit before the night's over. But I think about the story you told me about Coach Nelson. Some guy said he was not happy with his playing time.
He was a rookie. A rookie. Playing with Run TMC. We were one of the better teams in the league with the Warriors. And, finally I was in the coach's office for something. He called him up to the office. Hey, I hear you're not happy. Well, yeah, Coach. Hey, I told his secretary, I forgot her name, Alice, hey, get any team in the league on the line and let me see if I can trade this guy. See if they'll do me anything for him. And nobody would.
I bet he didn't have to hear from him anymore.
No, he was very quiet. And actually, he had a decent year the next year and played in the league for about another 10 years, I think.
Well, he learned. That's Steve, I would sit on the bench for $35. They might sign you. Get some of these teams on the salary cap.
Guess what, Steve? I just said you're worth what someone will pay you, and they won't pay you $35. Sorry, man.
Yeah, the Hornets. That sale became official today. Michael has left Charlotte. Mo, you work with Mike down there, and it didn't go well for him in terms of winning down there. Your thoughts on Michael's run in Charlotte?
Well, they made a ton of mistakes, player-wise, coaching-wise. I mean, personally, when he first became part owner, Sam Vincent was the head coach. I was an assistant for him, and they weren't very good. And I think we had 38 wins the first year we took over, and getting ready to we made some moves and getting ready to be better the next year and make the playoffs. And instead of sticking with us, Larry Brown decided that he wanted to come out of retirement and wanted to coach again. So they fired us and hired Larry. And
UNC guy.
Yeah, and they didn't go very well. And they've been floundering around. And let's be truthful. I mean, Barkley said it right. MJ is one of the best players ever, but he's not a very good owner. He's just not. He's made bad decisions coaching wise or front office and players. So, I think he's gonna make $1 or $2 billion, I think, on the sale. So, more power to him. And
it was a good investment.
Not that he needs it. He makes over $250 million a year still on his Nike stuff. So, how much money do you need? That's $1 billion every 4 years.
Yeah. Mo, when these guys get in the doldrums, it seems so hard for some of these franchises to get out. And I know you obviously need good players. You need to get a generational talent, or you got to go to the rock pile and just build on it. But it takes that organization from top to bottom to do it, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to make the right decisions consistently. So, from the owner to the GM to the coaching staff, and that trickles down to the players. And if you're going to build from the ground up, that means you have to use your draft picks very, very wisely and not, if you make a mistake, one mistake out of 10, you're going to be okay, or out of 8. But if you make one mistake out of every 3 decisions you make, you're never going to get where you need to be. Everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to have a goal in mind and a game plan to do it. We build with young players and add some veterans here and there. If we get lucky and we get the first pick, we better pick the right guy. So there's a lot of things that go on. It's just like an NBA team. To win an NBA championship, you have to have a lot of talent. You have to have everybody on the same page from the ownership down. And then you got to get lucky. You have to get lucky. You have to get a ball bounces in, a good call, no one gets hurt. You have to get lucky. Same with the franchise, right? You have to be solid all the way down. You have to make good decisions, and then you have to get lucky. Maybe the ping pong ball bounces the right way, but then you have to be ready to make the right choice. And because those choices are going to affect your team for the next 2 or 3 years at least, minimum. And
and I know one thing you don't like that a lot of teams seem to really treasure are the draft picks.
Well, I mean, depends on where you are with the team, but in my opinion, second round draft picks are a waste of time. The only thing good about a second round draft pick is if you go for the gold and you pick a joker on the 42nd pick, 41st pick, and he stays overseas for a year, and then he comes to play, and then he turns into the joker. Okay, that's a second round pick that will pay off for you in a couple of years. And a first round after the lottery pick, most of those guys, will play a year or two and then they're gone. I mean, so you have to have some youth. You have to be smart. You have to, have players that make your roster. I used to tell all the time. When I was in the CBA, we had 10 players on roster. And I told them at the beginning of the year, I don't want the 10 best players. That's what I'm not looking for. I'm looking for the 10 players that make up the best team. So I have to have point guards. I have to have wings. I have to have defenders. I have to have three-point shooters. I have to have bigs that can rebound and roll and pass. That's what I'm looking for. So, I might cut a guy that's better. That's better than you. I might cut you even though you're better than the guy I kept, but he fits a role. I mean, so a lot of that, and draft picks, look at the history of draft picks. I mean, it's hit or miss even no matter when you pick. So, but if you pick, I know NBA general managers and scouts right now, I talk to them. Anything after the 14th pick, they don't value at all. That's like a second round. It's a crapshoot. So, now you're picking kids, they're 18, 19 years old. And you're expecting them to come in and play against, Steph Curry or LeBron or the Joker or Luka or whoever. I mean, come on, man, that's not realistic.
Yeah. That is so true. Like you said, you drafting those guys for the next coach to
I've been in the draft. Shoot, I've been in the Charlotte draft room. I mean, we're picking these guys. We ain't drafting those guys. We're not going to be around long enough. I mean, the guy's 19 years old. He's not going to be ready to play in this league for another 3 years. We're not going to be here anymore. And, I really learned in the draft room in Dallas with Mark Cuban. I mean, at the end of the first round, definitely in the second round, you don't have any picks, you go buy them. You can call a team up and say, hey, you got the 28th pick. I'll give you $1 million for it. Boom, you got the 28th pick.
Yeah. And that has really kind of been the way it's been over the years, Mo. Because I want to kind of go back to when you played. I mean, you played from 79 to 91, 12 years in the NBA, coached and scouted another 25. So you've been around the game. But this league, man.
Hey, before we move on to that, Ricky, can you pull up the 79 draft on your computer?
Yes. Yeah.
I want to show people
1979
exactly what I was talking about.
NBA draft. Here we are. Number one player in the 79 draft.
Magic Johnson.
Johnson, Michigan State.
So look, You got Magic. Who was 2?
David Greenwood, UCLA.
Played for Chicago Bulls for a while. Who was 3?
Bill Cartwright, San
Yep.
Francisco.
Won championships for the Bulls. Who was 4?
Greg Kelso, Special K, Michigan State.
Michigan State had a so-so career. Who was 5? Roy Hamilton?
Sidney Moncrief.
Oh, Sidney? Okay. Hall of Famer. That's 5. And 4 of them. Yeah. Who's 6?
James Bailey, Rutgers.
Yeah, he played for New Jersey Nets for a while, for a few years.
Played 9 years in the league.
Yeah, bouncing around. Okay, who's 7?
Vinnie Johnson, Baylor.
There you go. Who's 8?
Calvin Nett, Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, played a couple of years, right? No, he
I
played a while.
remember this gentleman, Larry Dimmick.
From Arizona State. Yeah.
From Arizona.
Yeah. Played a couple of years maybe as a 9.
Yeah. Roy Hamilton, guard from UCLA.
Yeah. Played for a couple of years, and he actually worked for NBC, I think, for ESPN. Okay, that's 10. Who's 11?
Cliff Robinson.
Yeah, played
USC.
for the Cavs. Yeah, played for the Cavs. That's 12.
Not Uncle Cliffy. This is another Cliff Robinson. Jim Paxson, Dayton.
Yeah, there's 12, right?
13th pick, Dudley Bradley, UNC.
Yeah.
14, Brad Holland, UCLA.
Played for the Lakers for a couple of years.
Phil Hubbard, Michigan. 15,
yeah.
Jim Spanarkel, Duke. 16,
played for a couple of years, yeah.
Lee Johnson, 17, to Houston.
The Rockets picked him over me. They picked him.
He played 12 games.
Yeah.
Reggie,
they picked him over me.
Reggie King, Alabama.
Kansas City Kings.
Wiley Peck, number 19, Mississippi State.
Did he ever play in the league?
52 games.
Yeah.
Larry Knight, Loyola Chicago, never played.
Yeah.
20th pick.
Yeah.
Sly Williams, Rhode Island, 21st pick. The 22nd pick of the NBA draft in 1979, Cal Macy, Kentucky.
Yeah. How many games did he play?
He played 77 years.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
That's the end of the first round.
That's it, right? Yeah. So
you only had 22 picks, man.
Yes. So at least probably 15 of those guys had good careers, right?
Yeah.
So that's 15. That's the top 15 in the NBA, right? I mean, go to the second round.
Second round, Tico Brown never played. Johnny Hyde played 4 years. Ollie Mack, 3 years. Bruce Flowers, 1 year. Reggie Carter, 2 years. Danny Salisbury. The guy that played the most years in the NBA in the second round is some dude named Paul Mokeski.
That's right. 12 years. But besides that, like everybody else in the second round never played, really.
Clint Richardson.
Yeah.
Played 8 years out of Seattle.
For Philly, yep.
Yep, yeah. Clint Richardson. Wow, I never knew that. I mean, this is really stunning, Mo. A lot of these guys never even played.
No, and now multiply that, right? I mean, well, there's more teams and more players now, but look at like 15, including me in the second round. Well, I would say maybe 10 of those guys, including me, played more than 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, another good player, Johnny Moore, who was picked after you.
Yeah.
The guard was
how many guys played? So most of those guys played 2-3 years at the most. Some played 12 games, some played 30 games, and they're done. That's my point of the draft. I mean, it's hit or miss, but only the top of the draft is really semi-guaranteed.
I mean, when you look at that, that's really stunning to see.
Yeah, I mean, you could go like, especially in the summer league here, guys are playing good and everything. They're not going to make a roster. They're not good enough. And so second round guys, you might have 1 or 2 that hang around, but most of them are G League guys or go overseas or, that's what they are,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, think about it. 22 teams in the league, and now you got, what is it, 30 teams in the league, right?
yep.
So that's, I think we counted up before we
So
almost,
plus, but when I played, there was 12 players on the team. 12. Now there's 15. There's 15 players on the team. So, now there's 460 players that are NBA players. 460. When I played, when I first started, there was 276 NBA players.
yeah.
And then at halfway point in the mid 80s, there was 300 NBA players. Now there's 460 NBA players. So, no, that's the wrong Cliff Robinson.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
talking about Uncle Cliffy.
that's the wrong one. So, guys that are starting now, if they played back when I played, would be backups, and guys that are backups now would not be in the league. They would be out of the league. There's no spots for them. So,
Yeah.
and just think, I mean, people are like, I get on my soapbox about Will Chamberlain as the GOAT and his numbers don't lie. Well, he did play against, he played against Bill Russell, one of the best centers ever, for a lot of times because I think there's only 12 teams in the league then. So that means there's only 200 players or 130 players.
And Nate Thurman and Walt Bellamy.
And Wes Unseld.
Wes Unseld.
Don't tell. So, there's only, so I think it was 12, so that's 100 to 140 players in the whole world. I mean, come on, man. And what happens is, out of 80 games, guess how, if Russell and Wilt played and Wilt was in a Laker, if they played today out of 82 games, they would play 2 games against each other. Back then, they played 10, 12 games before the playoffs against each other. He had Russell 10 to 12 games a year. Not even talking about playoffs. So
Absolutely. And Adam, hey, great show. We appreciate you. Loves Greg Kelsey. Greg does the Piston broadcast.
yeah, Greg had he was the lob guy at Michigan State for Magic.
Yeah.
They had Jay Vincent, they had Kelser, and Kelser was the lob guy. Magic would throw that ball up to him wherever, and he would catch and dunk it. Unfortunately, I played with Greg in Detroit, my second year in the league, and his knees were really, really bad. So he just didn't last as long as he could have. But he's a great player when he was healthy.
Yeah, and for sure a great dude. Hey, this is interesting. How did Marcus Johnson do against Dr. J? Pretty well against everybody he played against.
Yeah, Marcus Johnson and Terry Cummins are the 2 most underrated forwards ever in the game of basketball. I played with both of them. Marcus Johnson, when I first got to Milwaukee Bucks, and that's when we played Philly, and we played Boston, so he played Bird, and he played Dr. J, and the other guy he played was Dominique Wilkins. So, Marcus was a phenomenal player. I don't know. He's so underlooked, athletic, had a flat shot but made it, a nice pull-up game, good defender. As a forward, he could bring the ball down the floor and finish at the rim with a dunk. And, Terry Cummings is in that same book also. I mean, Terry was overlooked because he had Dominique Wilkins and Larry Bird every year. So he hardly ever made an all-star team.
And Mo, this is a great transition because tonight I want to kind of go back to that era when you played in the 80s. Because some people today don't think guys were athletic back then, or
yeah, just look at this. Come on, man.
Yeah, and the quality of play we just kind of spoke about when you just look at the drafts from back then.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for that half-court hook shot by Craig Hodges. you know, less teams, more talent on the team. We're just talking, you look at Philly, Boston, even Milwaukee. On every team, there was 3 to 5 Hall of Famers on every one of those teams. Shoot, in '85, I think Boston had 7 Hall of Famers on their roster. And you look at teams now, pick the best teams in the league now. The Lakers, Denver, Milwaukee, pick them, any of them, they have 2 Hall of Famers on their team. That's it. Maybe 3. Back then, when you look at this footage, there was 4 to 6 Hall of Famers on every roster. Every roster. Now, I mean, the Denver Nuggets, who are the champions, the Joker's going to be a Hall of Famer, Murray's going to be a Hall of Famer. Not Porter, not Gordon, none of those guys. 2 Hall of Famers. Lakers have LeBron and AD, 2 Hall of Famers. Philly has Embiid and Harden, 2 Hall of Famers. Miami, has Butler, Bam. That's about it. 2 Hall of Famers. So, you can't tell me that the quality of play in the '80s was not high level.
And I was reading the other day, one of your rivals, Kevin McHale, was talking about the team that Boston really feared in the '80s when you guys were all in the East: Philly, Boston, Detroit, Milwaukee. Detroit came in a little later. But he talked about the Bucks. This is McHale. Honestly, they had us, Philly, ahead of them, McHale said. We were just a little better than they were, but they were such a good team because you talk about Marcus Johnson. Not many people talk about him, and I'm telling you right now, they had a team full of guys, and they played so well together. Don Nelson, he's the first. He's one of the first to invert the offense, post up Moncrief, pull everybody out, and they play so well together. But when you look at them, you're always fearful because we played against them all the time. That's a great compliment to your team, Mo.
Yeah, it is, but unfortunately, we never beat them. We got to the finals, but yeah, it's the truth. If you look at the '80s, look at the team that was most consistent in the '80s in their win and loss record. It was us. If you took at all the '80s, that was me pounding somebody right there. I think it was Danny Ainge. But if you look at us, we had the best records overall over those years, but we just couldn't get over the hump. And you're talking about Boston and Philly. Then halfway through the '80s, you got the Pistons and the Bad Boys. And don't forget, Atlanta Hawks had Dominique Wilkins and Doc Rivers, Kevin Willis. They were a really good team too. So it was a battle every night, to get positioning, to get home court in the playoffs. I mean, I think this is from '87, I think, when we lost.
This is '87. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost to them in Game 7 at the Boston Garden, and it would have been different. Oh, yeah, there you go. Those are good old days. If we would have had home court, we would have won that series.
Mo, was anybody kicked out for this?
Oh, no. No. Probably probably technicals. There's Nelly right in the middle of it. Probably double technicals, and let's keep playing.
Okay. You are not shooting this layup, Sidney Moncrief. and we had Sidney on the show. He's such a nice guy, man. I mean,
there's 2 people that rattled his cage: Danny Ainge and Bill Laimbeer. Those are the 2 people that rattled his cage. Because they were borderline dirty, right? If you said in the '80s who was 2 of the top 10 dirtier players in the league, you would say Laimbeer for sure, and probably put Danny Ainge in there,
right? Mo, did you play with Dave Myers or against him?
No. I came the year after he left the Bucks. I think he retired because of his back. Dave played for UCLA when I was a big fan of the Bruins, but I never played with him. He
and
bad back.
the retirement packages that you guys have, the more years, how does those work for you, Mo?
Yeah. So the more years you play, the more retirement. Retirement. Yeah. But hell, if I played now, I wouldn't need no retirement money. I would go to the casino and blow that in one night. I mean, shoot, I'd be making $10 million a year. I'd already have $100 million in the bank. Why would I care? You can take my retirement.
Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, man, those were those great times in the league, Paul, in the '80s, and you hit it on the head, man. I had not looked at that draft like that. That is still really stunning to me. And I'm going back to the draft page in the third round, because you had back then you had 7 rounds.
Yeah, which was a joke.
And nobody beyond the third round ever played.
No, I mean, back then in the 6th round.
I'm sorry, Paul. Nobody beyond the
second.
Alan Level played 10 years, the guard from Houston. He was 5th round.
We were rookies together.
Mo, you know who was a 5th round pick? Mark Eaton out of UCLA.
Mark Eaton never played. Mark Eaton never played. He never played. He was a backup.
Wow.
But probably a Hall of Famer. But yeah, I mean, the draft is the same. If you went to
so it's better that they cut the draft to 2 rounds.
Because in the 6th round, the Los Angeles Lakers picked Mighty Mouse. In the 7th round, the Detroit Pistons picked Bruce Jenner. Yeah. In the 8th round, the Detroit Pistons picked Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse was drafted, by the way, because nobody cared. No, come on, man. What's the point?
Yeah, and now at least you can try to pick and choose where you want to.
It went to 4. It went to 4, and then it went to 2, because as a player, if I'm not drafted in the 2nd round, I don't want to be drafted. Yeah. If you get drafted, you have to go to the team that drafted you. If you don't get drafted, you can pick who you want to go to training camp with if you're good enough. So if I wouldn't even want to get drafted in the 2nd round, but you know, if I'm a 7-footer and I have a chance, I'm going to go. And I didn't get drafted, I'm going to look at all the teams that need a backup center or a 3rd center, and that's where I want to go to training camp. I don't want to go to training camp for the Bucks, who have Portis, Giannis, Lopez. I don't want to go to that training camp. You know, I want to go to the Warriors training camp, and you know, I'm gonna try to beat out Looney and whoever else they have.
In the 4th round, James Donaldson played 14 years. The big set. Now, Mo, he was a big man.
Both he and Mark were. Not only were they tall, but they were wide.
Yeah.
You know, this is no, it's not even that. I'm trying to find. So this was like guarding Mark Eaton or Donaldson. So when a player came down, I had to look around and see. I can't see where the ball is.
Are you serious?
I'm behind them. Where's the ball? Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, seriously, I'll be guarding them, and you have to go. Okay, who's coming? Where are they?
Wow. Yeah. Well, we're heading down the.
I'm gonna tell you what, Ricky. Pull up the 2015 draft or something like that.
2015 NBA draft. Gotcha. And by the way, thank you, Basketball Reference, for providing us these quick insights. Okay. 2015, first of all, we got 30 picks.
Yep.
In the 1st round. And it's only 2 rounds, so you got 60 picks. And it's a lot of these guys that never played, Mo.
Yep. So who's the first pick?
The first pick, 2015, Carl Anthony Towns from Kentucky.
There you go. Who's second?
D'Angelo Russell, Ohio State.
Okay, cool.
Jahlil Okafor out of Duke, the big 6'10", 6'11" guy. Didn't do much.
No.
Porzingis. Mario Hezonja.
Who?
Mario Hezonja.
Oh, he's an Argentina player, yeah. So he I don't know if he ever played.
No, he played it just a little bit. Willie Cauley-Stein played 7 years. The 7th pick, Emmanuel Mudiay. Most of these guys have bounced around, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point, right? I mean,
Stanley Johnson.
Who?
Stanley Johnson played here in Detroit for a minute.
Yeah.
Frank Kaminsky. Mouse Turner. No start. Jeremy Grant was a 19th pick. He's made a lot of money.
Yeah. So you're at
Bobby Portis was 22nd.
So out of 30 players, you probably got 10 to 12 that are having good careers, right?
Think about, let's see, has Carl Anthony Towns made the All-Star team? Maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Porzingis, maybe he's made one.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Devin Booker was a great pick.
What pick was he?
13th.
Yeah, that's 13. That's good. What I say, 15 and older, it's a long shot.
No other. Larry Nance Jr. has been just a journeyman.
Who's in the second round? Do you know any of those names in the second round?
Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, there's one.
Undersized center. Nobody really. Josh Richardson, the backup. Norman Powell's a good backup.
So out of the 30 in the second round, maybe
a lot of these guys have never played.
Yeah.
One guy played one game in 6 minutes.
Because so out of the second round, out of 30 picks, 5 players had decent careers. So what is a second round pick worth?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's my point with draft picks.
Well, and Steve, you're right. Giannis was a 15th pick. That's why Milwaukee's in such good shape. They hit a home run.
Yep, they did. And they took a chance. Steve, look at Giannis when he was a rookie. He looked like a little kid. So they took a chance on him.
Yeah.
I wonder what his numbers were his first year.
And I can look that up. And Paul, even with the Joker, some people just seeing the Joker. This was his seventh season.
Yep, for sure.
I could get you Giannis as his rookie year.
He averaged 6.8 points a game. He played 29 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
And then the next year he averaged 12. And then the next year he averaged 16. And then he averaged 6.8. When they talk about Wembanyama, I mean, that's what you're going to get. I mean, look at Dirk Nowitzki averaged 7 points a game his rookie year. So, all these people, I'm telling you, after that first year, the Milwaukee Bucks are going, oh, man, what do we do?
Yeah. But I think Victor, he'll average a double-double, won't he?
No.
He won't get 10 rebounds?
No, he will not get 10 rebounds. No. He'll average 10 to 12 points and probably 6 or 7 rebounds. The thing that he will do, I think, will be in the top 5, at least the top 10 in block shots. That's where he'll be. He'll average 3 or 4 block shots a game, I bet. and that's where he'll be in. I'm going to tell you, Chad Holdren, Rookie of the Year, baby. Watch.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, but you know what, man? When you point out the lack of success you see in these drafts, surely NBA teams, if we're doing it here on We Got Next, surely NBA teams are doing the same thing and saying, you know what, these draft picks really aren't all that.
Draft picks are assets. Draft picks are assets for trades. That's what they are. I mean, hell, some team, I can't remember, just traded like 6 second-round picks, because they're assets. So, but you can't. Very rarely, they know they're not stupid. So you got a 10 to 15% chance of getting a player in the second round. Those aren't good odds.
Yeah.
But if I'm Oklahoma City, I can give you 5 second rounds and 3 first rounds and get a good player, then it's valuable. But give me 2 second rounds. How many you want? You can have all of them. I don't care. If I'm gonna get the player I want.
It's almost like somebody said, "Oh, it sounds good."
Yeah, it makes people think that you got something in the trade. So we're trading Lillard, right? One of the best players in the league, arguably one of the obviously one of the best scorers in the league, and we got Hero, and we got Caleb Martin or whoever, and we got 4 second round picks and a first rounder. We got all those picks. Well, 4 first and second round pick. What? That's like giving them here. Back in the day, hey, I'm telling you, back in the CBA days was the D League before the D League, the CBA, and I've seen this. Players were traded for sweatpants, Gatorade.
Oh man,
absolutely, they were, because you gotta get something valuable.
Hey, Mo, we got to get out of here, man. A really interesting conversation tonight. And don't forget, you can get this show and all our shows on Believe. That's BLEAV.com. I hope we got to everybody's questions and comments here. But if we didn't get you tonight, we'll get you next week, and we'll be back next Monday.
Yeah, and just be alert. If some news comes out, like there's a trade or something, we'll pop on that night probably. Yep. And,
absolutely.
We got Next Plus. Yeah. So just be alert on that, guys. Thank you everybody for listening, man. Appreciate you. Share it with some of your friends. Have them join us next week.
All right. For the big fella, Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
See you, Mo.